Welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. So, short episode this week. We're going to be addressing, usually when I do show episodes about various TV shows, I try to lump in a few at once, kind of like how IO9 does that, where they'll throw in a few things that are smaller in topic into one episode just to kind of pad out the article. I try to do that as well. I don't try to talk about just one show at a time, but as of right now, I don't really have a complaint about Arrow. I always saw Curtis is one of the weaker links on the show, so his departure isn't too unwanted, and same thing with the present-day William. Usually when he was involved, it was for cheap family drama that didn't quite pan out or have a true emotional hook to it, because none of the characters act like actual people. They all act like stereotypes for children and parents, and Oliver doesn't quite have the equipment to deal with it, so it comes down to Felicity a lot, and so both of those, it's kind of cleansing the fact that the cast got way too big, and I think that removing Dinah's powers functionally in the last episode is it was not a great idea. If they were going to do that to anyone, I think it would have been better served doing it to Black Siren, more so than the new Black Canary, because I feel like Dinah's a more well-rounded character than Black Siren. Black Siren's kind of not quite three-dimensional yet. She's getting there, and I think that having her lose that would be a good way to have her have to fully embrace becoming Laurel. So I feel like it's a missed opportunity to kind of turn Laurel from Earth 2 into a better character. Now, that said, we're going to go to the other side of the CW spectrum, The Flash. Now, The Flash has been having an issue since the mid-season finale. Since the mid-season finale, the show has been kind of spinning its wheels. It's like it's stuck in the mud, like a truck stuck in the mud, and it's like that's why I'm not too concerned. There's no episode this week, and next week it's King Shark versus Gorilla Grodd, and I feel like that's not the worst place to put a Grodd episode, because I've expressed my dislike for the Grodd episodes. The Grodd episodes always seem to pull the episode, whatever momentum they have going towards what they're going to. The Grodd episodes always seem to put a complete stop in the momentum for the entire season. First season, it's the most noticeable. The episode where they encounter Grodd in the sewers. It's such a weird episode, and it's just I have no problem with Grodd as a villain. I have no problem with I like Grodd as a villain. It's just the episodes with Grodd are not great. And then season 2, it continues when they have Harry from Earth 2 pretend to be Thawne, so that way he can try and talk Grodd out of it. And then they send him to Gorilla City. Then Attack on Central City, the 2-part episode in season 3, was not great either. Season 4, thankfully, did not have a Grodd episode, probably because Barry was in prison for a good amount of the episode, and that kind of took the role of the momentum-killing mini stupidity for that season. And then season 5, now we have Grodd versus King Shark. Here's my problem with the season so far, and why I'm not too concerned about Grodd killing momentum this time. There's no momentum to really go into. The season hasn't had momentum since the mid-season finale. Going into the mid-season finale, when they were figuring out who Cicada is and what's going on and all of that, they had some momentum. And then the mid-season finale happens, and Cicada escapes. And therein lies the biggest problem, starting right out of the gate, is they should have had him handled there. Then every subsequent encounter with Cicada is meaningless, because there have now been 5 instances since they've figured out who he was and dampened his powers that one time. They've had him dead to rights in 5 different occasions, 2 of which were in the same episode. And most recently, on Tuesday of this week, when they had the episode where they basically did Here We Go Again from Legends of Tomorrow, where they did a Groundhog Day episode, but with Nora. Now, what Here We Go Again did for Legends was Zari wasn't a well-developed character, and we didn't have any reason. There was no real push to make Zari into a likable character until this episode, and people left that episode liking Zari more. This episode just makes Nora look incompetent for most of the episode. And it's kind of confusing as to why you need to do that. It's like, it took her 52 attempts of time travel going back and redoing it in this time loop, and it took her 52 attempts to go, why don't we ask someone for help? And it just feels weird, considering every other problem she's faced this season has been, let's ask someone else for help and then we'll see what we can do. So the other thing is, it's like, in this episode, Cicada stabbed himself with his own dagger. After time travel shenanigans and all of that, he stabbed himself with his own dagger, and then he couldn't get away. But he got away anyway. The last episode, Iris stabbed him. And then rather than calling Barry to come and whisk him away to the pipeline, she runs away. And that's that. And we leave Cicada to fight another day. Then the Golden Face episode. Barry and Ralph have their powers dampened, and they have to go through the entire episode with no powers. Why? Like, how is it that that's the thing, but they can't handle Cicada? Then they have to. Previous to that, there was the episode where what was the lead? Oh, they're trying to get the metahumans out of Central City, and 2 times in that episode, they had Cicada almost captured. She had him frozen to the ground earlier in the episode when XS was paralyzed, or Nora was paralyzed, and then she had him the dagger frozen in place while Barry was beating the fuck out of him. And the mid-season finale, where they breached the dagger into Earth's orbit, and rather than breach him into Star Labs or breach him somewhere else or have Barry run him somewhere or do anything, they all stood there and stared. That's the problem, is that they're doing a big bad, and they blew their load, for lack of a better word, on figuring out who he is way too soon. So now we're at episode 15, and now everything just feels repetitive, where it's like, we're just going to keep doing this over and over again. And now my other complaint with this season so far is the fact that they are completely misusing Cisco. And I feel like at the beginning of the season, they knew that Carlos Valdez didn't want to return for season 6. I feel like that was a thing that they just knew when they were going into the season, so they're kind of giving him an out. But I feel like an easier and a better out would have been to send him to Earth-19 with Gypsy, rather than have him want to come up with a metahuman cure. And I don't know. I feel like that's... I feel like where it's going now is him going off to Earth, going off to Earth-19 is not going to happen, and he's just going to cure himself and move on, which would really suck, because it's not like Curtis, who can come back whenever he wants, because he doesn't have powers. He's just a tough guy. As Vibe, he's useful as Cisco, but he's useful as Vibe too. And curing him would make it where he can't come back, really. But yeah, I feel like they really need to get their act together this season. Like, they need to have this come together. I would say by the end of next episode, they need to have come to terms that everyone needs to know that Nora is working with Thawne. That's where that needs to go, for next season, for this season. Then by the time that's handled, then we can move on to, Thawne being the villain. Get rid of Cicada, make Thawne the villain, finish out the season that way, and you can spend the entire rest of the season setting up Crisis on Infinite Earths. All you need to do for the rest of the season. They should have done that from the beginning. Or if they're doing Cicada, they should have had the mystery get dragged out longer. But really, as I've said from the beginning of the season, Cicada is not a season-long villain. Cicada is at best, 2-episode villain, where Cicada could have taken the role of the guy who, the episode where Barry loses his powers in season 2, when he what was he gives Zoom his speed, so he doesn't have his speed anymore. And then there's that guy who has super strength, but as he uses it, he gets older and older. That episode, you could have replaced that character with Cicada, and it would have been just as good. And we would have been done with Cicada. Because Cicada is not a full season villain. And we will wrap it up there for today. We'll be back next week with, I don't know, probably something else.